Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there tonight and had yourselves a wonderful day. And I hope everyone's been having a great weekend out there so far. This is the first time I've made a nighttime video in quite some time. I was trying to remember the last time I made one, and I couldn't remember. So here we are, and we do have a lot to talk about. In tonight's video, we're going to just discuss Monday and Tuesday severe weather threat. Now, we're not going to talk about tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll speak on tomorrow's severe weather threats as we wake up for tomorrow morning's video. And we'll speak on Wednesday as we just get a little bit closer. But I do think the highest severe weather days are going to be Monday and Tuesday, especially Monday where we could have an outbreak of severe storms. So we'll talk about current conditions. We'll break down the latest from the Storm Prediction Center as far as their outlook. We'll break it down state by state for you folks. I think you guys that are in the severe risk areas will really appreciate this, as it will just section off your state, show towns, cities, and stuff like that. Get you guys a really good idea of who runs the highest risk of severe weather for each individual state. And we'll break down ingredients coming together, discuss the setup, why it has such high-end potential, and then we'll do the same thing for Tuesday, and then I'll give you my thoughts along the way. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling tonight. So we're going to start off by looking at the water vapor loop. We haven't done this in quite some time. I used to start all my videos off by showing you this, but the whiter colors you see on the screen is more moisture in the atmosphere. It doesn't always mean rain or storms necessarily, just more moisture in the atmosphere. The duller colors, more blackish or dark gray, that's drier air in the atmosphere. It doesn't always tell the story, but it gives us a good idea of what's going on out there in the atmosphere. What you'll notice is I'm going to see if this will work for us, and it is, so we're good to go. You'll notice some pop-up areas in white. This is just pop-up showers, storms, some that are strong, even severe. This is ahead of a cold front sweeping across this area right now. And then we just got a lot of moisture across the middle of the country, falling in the form of rain, some storm activity, especially in the southern area of this white region. And then if you notice, right in New Mexico, getting into Texas, we have some strong to severe storms firing off right now. A lot of storm chasers are probably on these. This has been a favorite area over the last week or so for strong to severe thunderstorm activity, and we've had it. We've had tornadoes, we've had damaging winds, very large hail, and it's no different this afternoon into this evening. But the main feature on the screen that I want you to look at is this little swirl that you see right here. This is our upper trough digging into the southwest. This is bringing a pretty stout southwesterly flow across this region, and this feature will continue to kind of dig. And then eventually, this little swirl that you see here, large swirl by the way, this will move across this region, and with it, a piece of energy or multiple pieces of energy that we call short waves, surface features, will eject across the plains in that general direction that I drew the arrow. And this will bring together overlapping ingredients to support severe weather. So I think I'll show you this again tomorrow on one of the videos and just show you guys how much closer it is as we're getting into tomorrow. But it's interesting. You can see the feature on Water Vapor Loop on what is going to bring us a multi-day threat of severe weather. So that is it where I just drew the X. Now let's go on and start to break down Monday's severe weather threat. Remember, we're going to talk about Monday and Tuesday. So let's talk about Minneapolis first. So this is the latest outlook per the Storm Prediction Center. The red is a moderate risk, level 4 out of 5. The next category up would show up in pink. That would be a high risk, level 5 out of 5. We don't have that yet. Could wake up to that tomorrow or maybe the morning of the event for Monday morning. So that moderate risk includes the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Guys, this is almost in rare territory. We get severe weather in this area of the country, but not at this level, I would say, in late April. We can see events like this really anywhere across the country, except maybe across the western areas of the country where we have the higher terrain, things like that, drier air. But normally, you get your higher end severe weather threats deeper into summer as the jet on average begins to shift north. So severe weather chances begin to shift north. But here we are, late April, and we're getting here. So Minneapolis down to Rochester, and everybody in this southeast corner of the state of Minnesota has a moderate risk of severe weather, level 4 out of 5. In the orange area, that's a level 3 out of 5, an enhanced risk. St. Cloud, Alexandria, Brainerd, hopefully I said that right, Marshall, Worthington, and all the way up here to just about Grand Rapids, Minnesota, Duluth, Hinckley. Hopefully I said that right. Probably going to butcher some names. It happens. But slight risk does go all the way up to International Falls. So it goes all the way up to the Canadian U.S. border. So it looks like they have cut off the enhanced risk a little bit. I think it was extending all the way up to the Canadian U.S. border. I believe it was this morning. But what's driving this? As you guys know, we're still technically at day 3. When we wake up tomorrow morning, we'll have the outlook broken up in 3 different sections: damaging winds, tornadoes, and hail. But as of now, all we know, we'll have to back this up. Oh, it's going to take its sweet time. That's okay. We got time. Some people are probably saying, no, Mitch, we don't have time. But we'll have to back it up here, and we'll go back down, and it wants to show us. Here it is, right here. So in that pink area that you see here, that is a 45% chance of severe weather. That's all we know. I think that it's probably going to be a very high damaging wind threat with this, in my personal opinion. But the pink area is a 45% chance of severe weather. That's all we know right now. Okay, the red area is a 30% chance of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. That could be tornadoes, that could be damaging winds, it could be hail. And the yellow area is a 15% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. Minneapolis, St. Paul, obviously the highest populated area in the state of Minnesota, does have that 45% risk of severe weather. And then if you look at the black outline region, guys, that includes areas of the pink and the red, 45 and 30% area. That is a 10% risk of significant severe weather. That could be an EF2 or stronger tornado. That could be damaging winds in excess of 75, 80, 85 miles per hour. It could be hail in excess of 2 inch in diameter or larger. So, big time severe weather threat for the southern areas and central areas of Minnesota expected for Monday. Now, Wisconsin, same thing. Wisconsin, Eau Claire, down to La Crosse, just about down to Madison, but Tomah, down to Platteville, a moderate risk, level 4 out of 5 risk of severe weather. The enhanced risk area does include just about the rest of the state of Wisconsin, except Milwaukee and basically the western shorelines of Lake Michigan. But Green Bay is included in this enhanced risk area, level 3 out of 5. And then the slight risk area does include Milwaukee and down to the far southeastern corner of the state. But guys, I mean, obviously the western to southwestern portion of the state has that level 4 out of 5 risk, the highest risk area. So crazy stuff. Just like I said for Minnesota, guys, this is pretty much in rare territory. For this time of the year, you can see this. You have I would say this. You have a higher chance of seeing these high-end outlooks per the Storm Prediction Center, more so in like late May, really getting into June, honestly. But here we are, late April. But back this up. Hopefully it doesn't take as long as it did for the state of Minnesota. Probably should have just pulled up all the graphics because it looks like the site is just running really slow, which really stinks here. But we'll continue to wait, I guess. You take your time. There we go. Should have just had all the graphics up, so I do apologize here. Pull up this graphic. What's driving this? All we know is that there's a % chance of severe weather. As we get into tomorrow, it'll break it up: tornado, damaging wind, large hail. So if you live in that pink area, that is a 45% chance of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. Almost a 50-50 shot. Includes Eau Claire, down to La Crosse, Tomah, Platteville. And then if you live in the red area, that's a 30% risk of severe weather. And then the yellow area is a 15% risk of severe weather. And that black outline region with the black dashes going in between it, that is a hatch risk. It means you have a shot at significant severe weather. It's a 10% risk. It's not 10 plus 45 equals 55. It's its own deal. So you got a 10% risk if you live in that black outline area of an EF2 or stronger tornado, damaging winds in excess of 80, 85 miles per hour, or hail in excess of 2 inch in diameter or larger. So a significant severe weather risk in portions of the state of Wisconsin. So let's drop it on down. Well, let's drop it over. Let's move over into the state of Michigan. It's kind of it's a weird situation where the UP of Michigan has a higher severe weather threat than lower Michigan. So basically, the western sections of the UP has an enhanced risk. Almost includes Marquette up to Houghton. Pretty wild stuff, guys. I mean, it's rare to get crazy severe weather up here in any time of the year, let alone like late April. But enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5 of severe weather if you live in the pretty much all of the western UP of Michigan. Slight risk goes all the way to almost clears the rest of the eastern UP of Michigan, but doesn't quite. But we do have a slight risk in the yellow, level 2 out of 5. And then in lower Michigan, Traverse City, almost down to Grand Rapids, basically the western sections of lower Michigan has a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. Marginal risk, a level 1 out of 5. Goes right down the middle pretty much of lower Michigan. So what's driving this? Once again, we're going to go slower in molasses here. I'll hit the backspace button. I probably need to just go on and click it ahead of time. I don't know why it's moving so slow. It was moving kind of slow yesterday morning too when we were discussing this, but once again, we'll go back up. What's driving this here? Well, just like I mentioned for the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota, all we know is that there is a percent chance of severe weather. You live in that red area, that is a 30% risk of severe weather. Could be a tornado, damaging winds, large hail. It's probably going to be a big damaging wind threat up there. And then the yellow area is a 15% risk of any severe weather. So just remember, anytime I say any severe weather, I mean tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail. So this is the outlook for you guys. Let's drop it down to Iowa. Could be a big severe weather day for Iowa. I would say this. I personally think the highest tornado threat will be in portions of Iowa, because I do think Iowa has the best chance to see more of a discrete storm mode. But here we go. If you live in that red area, includes Des Moines, Ames, Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Waterloo, Mason City, and those places in between, Fort Dodge, a level 4 out of 5 risk of severe weather in that red area. Only goes up one more category to the high risk, and we could get that. In the orange area, that's an enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather, and that pretty much includes the rest of the state of Iowa, except over to Sioux City in the far northwest corner of the state. But that's a level 3 out of 5 risk, what we call an enhanced risk of severe weather. And once again, what's driving this? And it's going to probably be slower in molasses. That was a lot faster that time. That's great. Guys, the pink is a 45% chance of any severe weather. That could be damaging winds, that could be large hail, that could be tornadoes. Almost a 50-50 shot of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. It's always wild to me when we get these higher end threats like this. But the red area is a 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. And then that yellow, a little bit less of a chance in the far northwest corner of the state. And then this entire black outline region with the black dashes going in between it, which includes, 85% of the state just about. If you live in that black outlined area, you also have a 10% risk of significant severe weather, which could be an EF2 or stronger tornado. It could be large hail in excess of 2 inches in diameter, or it could be damaging winds pushing 80, 85 miles per hour. I do think we're at least going to get a 15% risk of tornadoes in this area, but I think we're going to have a very high damaging wind threat also for the entire pink area that I've showed you for all the states. But guys, the damaging wind threat will be wild in this area, and I'm going to talk to you about why here in a second. But drop it over to Illinois. The far north, and I think this could drop a little bit further southeast and more portions of Illinois. Far northwest corner of Illinois technically has a moderate risk, but the enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 in the orange, Rockford, down to portions down to like Galesburg, enhanced risk, and then we have a slight risk. Quincy, you're right on the fringe of that enhanced risk. Peoria, Bloomington, Aurora, over to Chicago, level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather, and then the marginal risk, Springfield, Champaign, and down to St. Louis. You guys have a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather. And once again, we have to see what's driving this, and all we know right now is that there's a percent chance of severe weather, and this should pull up any minute. Here we go. And next time I will know, just to spend a little bit extra time to pull up these graphics. But the red area is a 30% chance of severe weather. It could be tornadoes, damaging winds, hail. And then the yellow area is a 15% risk of severe weather. And that far northwest corner of Illinois has a 10% risk of significant severe weather. And I do think this could inch a little bit more into the state of Illinois, potentially, as we're waking up to new outlooks tomorrow. So that black outline area that does cover little small portions of extreme northwestern Illinois means there's a 10% risk of either a strong EF2 tornado or stronger. Damaging winds in excess of 2 inch in diameter or larger. And then that's damaging winds in excess of 85 miles per hour. I've done that before. And then hail in excess, damaging winds, hail, yeah, two totally different things, right? But hail in excess of 2 inch in diameter or larger. When you repeat this information over and over again, it happens. And we'll cover 2 more states here. There is other states that's going to be having a severe weather threat, but we're just going to cover the enhanced risk or higher areas. But Missouri, there is a enhanced risk in the northern half of Missouri, Kansas City, St. Joseph, Maryville, Kirksville, Memphis. You guys have a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. The slight risk goes right through the middle of Missouri, Columbia, Jefferson City, down to Joplin, Hannibal. Level 2 out of 5 slight risk, and then the marginal risk is for St. Louis, Lebanon, down to Springfield. So, once again, what is driving this? And that pulled up a lot faster. Appreciate that. The red area, 30% risk of severe weather, and then the yellow area is a 15% risk of severe weather. The black outline region is a 10% risk of significant severe weather. So severe weather could be tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, and then the 10% risk means that when the Storm Prediction Center says significant severe weather, that can mean a strong EF2 tornado or higher. Damaging winds pushing 85 miles per hour, and hail in excess of 2 inch in diameter or larger. And if you're tuning in and watching this entire video all the way through, you're wondering, Mitch, why are you repeating this information over and over again? It's because I have timestamps up for each individual state, and chances are somebody might just clicked on their state, got the information, and hear all the other information I just said before. And if you did do that and you're tuning in, that's what's happening here. But Kansas, it's really just the eastern half of the state. But Kansas City, Topeka, these areas almost over to Manhattan, enhanced level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather. And then the yellow is a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. Wichita, Hutchinson, Manhattan, Coffeyville, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. And what is driving this? Same thing in that orange area. It's going to show up as red on your screen, but there's a 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles into a given location. Kansas is taking a little extra long. In fact, it's taking an annoying amount of time at this point. Are you going to do your thing, man? Or do you need a boost here? Let's see if we can do this and do that. And let's click on this. Well, Kansas, I'm sorry to leave you hanging, but it is not wanting to cooperate for the state of Kansas for some reason. So I do apologize. Just the Storm Prediction Center site is just being very, very slow right now, and I'm not quite sure why. Let's try it now. I think we're about to get it. We got it. We're good. Kansas. Red area, 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. The yellow area, 15% risk of that. And then once again, that black outline region, which includes Manhattan, Wichita, Kansas City, these areas, Emporia, 10% risk of significant severe weather, which is an EF2 or stronger tornado. Could be damaging winds pushing 85 miles per hour, and hail in excess of 2 inch in diameter or larger. Whew. So now that we went repetitive with all that information, let's break down the setup. So we're going to kind of zoom into a pretty large area. 3 things I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to talk about kinematics and thermodynamics. We'll talk about kinematics first. In kinematics, we're going to speak on just the low-level jet, winds at about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air, 850 millibars. So it's the best thing to look at when we're trying to pinpoint where the best damaging wind, or the highest damaging wind and tornado threat is going to be. So we'll start off Monday morning. One thing I want you to notice is low-level jet is already ramping up. See the wind barbs, how they're facing generally out the south. There is a little tilt to the southwest, but it's pushing over 50 knots, already getting into into Minnesota, Iowa, and it's already raging down here in areas of Nebraska and Kansas. So winds will already be whipping, low-level jet really increasing. You don't even need it this high to produce severe weather. As we get to the more prime heating of the day, we start to get, say, into Monday afternoon, a little bit more of a displaced looking low-level jet, but in general, this is, like I said, Monday afternoon, and your average low-level jet across this entire higher severe weather threat is pushing 40 to 50 knots. And listen, you only need like a 30 to 35, 40 knot low-level jet to really support even a tornado threat. So you're already pushing, if I put the cursor, 40 to 55 knots, tons of low-level wind flow coming screaming out the south, pulling up a lot of deep moisture from the lower latitudes to the more northern latitudes up into this area. So you got a ton of low-level kinematics in this area. The wind field, check it off the box. Kinematics, this is going to fuel a damaging wind threat and a tornado threat across a pretty large area. And, you start to take it into Monday evening, and the low-level jet even gets even more intense. And I'm telling you, there's going to be some sort of intense line of storms somewhere. I'm thinking, I'll try to draw on this. I mean, somewhere into here, I think. Some kind of really bad line of storms that is going to have, at minimum, severe wind gusts with it. And it's going to be fueled by this screaming low-level jet out the south. I mean, winds, guys, at about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air, about a mile above our heads, are going over 60 knots. I mean, like interstate speed across this entire area. So even if you're not getting hit by a storm in this area, I mean, you're going to be getting hit by strong winds, strong gusty winds. I mean, even pushing 70 knots, that low-level wind field. It's not the surface, like I said, about 5,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air. Tons of flow in the low levels of the atmosphere riding over this entire area. And this leads all the way into Tuesday. So check that off the box. Now, with such a yanking from the south and the lower levels of the atmosphere, what this does is it yanks up a lot of moist air from the south. So you'll wake up Monday morning and dew points are, in the 50s in Minneapolis. They're in the 40s in most of the state of Illinois, and especially Wisconsin and to the UP and Michigan. So you're thinking, man, there's not a lot of moist air for severe weather today. But watch, this is Monday morning. Watch how this pool of really deep moisture, dew points in the 60s and 70s, is humid, muggy air. These storms like it. Watch how the atmosphere totally flips as they're getting into Monday midday. And then Monday afternoon, guys, we got dew points creeping almost all the way up to 60, almost all the way up to Duluth. So we got this huge corridor, this huge moist sector of deep moisture screaming out of the south all the way to the north. So check this off the box. It's a thermodynamic, moist air. It'll be here. Plentiful, late April. Normally you see this kind of yanking of moisture this far north, deeper into the year. And I mean, you get into Monday evening, dew points will try to be creeping into the 60s all the way up into the UP. Look at this moist air late Monday evening all the way into Chicago, Milwaukee. Just a huge pool of 60-plus dew points. Okay? And then the cold front crashes through, stabilizes the air mass, and then this huge moist sector begins to shift further to the southeast into Tuesday, which will speak on that threat. So in response to all of that, what is your CAPE levels going to be? Well, because you get such deep moisture getting pulled north, I mean, look as you get into Monday afternoon, rocket fuel. I want to reiterate this. You really only need about 1,000 joules per kilogram mixed layer CAPE to really get the job done. In this case, you're going to get over 2,000 once you get into that yellow shade area. Once you get this more kind of orangish yellow, that's over 3,000 joules per mixed layer 3,000 joules per kilogram mixed layer CAPE, guys. That is a ton of fuel in the atmosphere to fuel these storms, these supercells, or whether it's just a linear type deal, whatever it may be. Tons of fuel in the atmosphere based off the Euro. And I would almost tell you guys this will probably be even more than what it's showing. A lot of times it is. But man, this is definitely not a low CAPE event. It's just, this event's a bit of an anomaly, guys. It really is. So, we're not in range of the HRRR model. We are in range of the NAM, but I don't like showing the NAM in the long range. It's just not that great. But we will be more so in range of the HRRR model as we do videos tomorrow. Now, I do want to speak on Tuesday. And I'm sorry to leave you guys hanging so much in Texas and Oklahoma with the event with the event for Monday. And I'm going to leave you kind of hanging talking about the event for Tuesday too. But I promise you guys, I will cover you guys in just as much detail, state by state, as I did to the states to the north. It's just we really need to get in range of short-range model, guys. I'm speaking on what we're the most confident in right now. So we got a huge slight risk, a huge area in yellow that has a 15% risk of severe weather. It's not any more detailed than this. But an area that I'm really watching for a more concentrated tornado threat, guys, in my opinion, will be right into here, which once again is a little bit unusual for late April. So we move forward here. This is why I'm concerned about a higher tornado threat up here. So we're getting up Tuesday morning. This is that low-level wind field. Again, the low-level jet is just picking up very quickly. So we already have a 40 to 50 knot low-level jet raging over the entire state of Ohio into western PA and western New York. So the winds in the low levels of the atmosphere is already increasing. Now, this is more so kind of a westernly low-level jet rather than your traditional southerly low-level jet, but I do think it could switch a little bit as we start to get into Tuesday afternoon and come more so out the south. But anyways, it's getting to Tuesday afternoon. Could have a significant wind event up here in Ontario. But this is Tuesday afternoon. I'm putting my cursor over Ohio, western PA, and New York. But this is a 30 to 40, 45 knot low-level jet going over these areas. And this is the low-level jet is really what you look at when you're trying to pinpoint that damaging wind and tornado threat. And it's going to be sufficient enough for tornadoes and damaging winds in this entire region right into here. Okay, I'm really concerned about a tornado threat into here as we get into Tuesday. Okay, so I'm very interested to see what the outlook looks like as we wake up tomorrow morning for Tuesday. But that low-level jet will be here. And what's interesting here is as we get into Tuesday night, that low-level jet goes right over the entire New England northeast area. So this is going to kick up a lot of winds at the surface, but about a mile above our heads, these winds are going about 60, 70 miles per hour. So this will be fueling a lot of storm activity until that cold front moves in and sweeps out the atmosphere. Now, we got the kinematics. You can check that off the box. What about that low-level moisture? Well, once again, just like for Monday morning across areas of the upper Midwest, you're waking up to pretty dry conditions, dew points in the 40s and 50s. But Monday morning, for example, dew points will be getting into the 60s for Ohio. Tuesday morning. But watch how they creep up, about to sneeze. They creep up. Sorry, guys. I haven't sneezed like that in about 3 weeks. But they begin to creep up and move east as we progress in the Tuesday afternoon. So now we got this corridor of dew points into the 60s, guys. It goes all the way up into Quebec and Ontario. I mean, we got dew points in the 60s into Buffalo, the Adirondacks. It's just wild stuff. And guess what? That's right where, let's back it up a little bit. Okay, this is Tuesday afternoon. This is Tuesday afternoon. You see this corridor of better wind flow in the low levels of the atmosphere? Now you match that up with where your better moisture at the surface is. Dew points in the 60s, remember, and 70s is what these storms like. Anything lower than that, they don't like that too much. And once again, it's in that same area. That's why I think the tornado threat will be the highest in some of these areas. So moist air will be climbing into this area. And you only need dew points in the 60s for a tornado threat. We've seen it in the 50s. And once again, as the moist air really increases across this area, your CAPE values will increase. So look at these little pockets of 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram mixed layer CAPE. That is certainly enough CAPE to get the job done for a tornado threat. And the fuel, just an all hazards type deal up here. So this is why I do think Ohio Valley into the interior sections of the Northeast has that highest severe weather threat. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know these. I made that comment on my post on my community tab a couple hours back, saying that the views are really down. They are. I'm not really discouraged, guys. I've talked to a lot of people that do weather on YouTube, and it's just kind of one of those. It's just kind of one of those deals right now where that saying, the rich get richer. Well, some of the bigger names are going to be are normally going to pop off the most when with severe weather, because there's a lot of people that stream and stuff like that. I don't really do that, and I get it. And I do understand that most of my audience is from the South and probably not as much in the middle of the country. But like I said, do appreciate people who continue to tune in. And hopefully this video does help you prepare, and we'll wake up tomorrow morning, certainly do it all over again. God bless all y'all. Have a great and safe night.